I'd like to spend a moment taking a closer look at the request and response object that are passed to us whenever we get a call into our little JSON servers. If we go here and we take a look at our simple JSON server we have so far, you'll see we always get a request and a response. And it's worth taking a closer look at what exactly they have. So let's create a new little server called recres. We don't need any of that, but we do need the create server and the listen. So let's do that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say console.log, there we go, /n, a little bit of stuff to clean things up. And then I'm going to console.log the request and the response like that. Don't need any of you guys, so let's do that. And then finally, let's res.end. Thanks for calling, just to make sure that anybody calls us gets something back. Okay, so let's run that server. And let's clear the output of this window. And then let's say curl-i-x get http localhost 8080 albums.json. You'll see I get the thanks for calling. And this window now has a ton of junk in it, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. The first is the request object. So let's take a look at the request. There's actually a lot of stuff here, and it actually inherits from its bunch of different pieces of functionality, including some streams we'll see later. And it's just got a ton of different pieces of information that the HTTP server and other people add. But what we're particularly interested in right now is the headers object. And that has all of the headers that are sent to us from our client, in particular here, the user agent from curl, the host that was being called, and then the curl thing says it takes anything back. In addition, you'll see that the URL and the method members on the request object are things we've used in the past, and we'll also continue to use them pretty much all the time in all of our future applications. On the response object, there's not a lot we're going to be using just yet. We're mostly going to be constraining ourselves to using methods like the write head that you've seen and the end method that you've seen. But the request object has definitely got a whole bunch of interesting stuff on it. Let's clear this, and then let's actually see what happens if we run the same request in the web browser. You'll see we still get the response here. Now let's take a look here at what we've got from the server. We'll scroll down here to the headers. And you'll see we got quite a lot more headers. The browsers tend to be quite chatty about what they send, and they're very communicative, and they're very flexible. You'll see here they say they take a lot of data formats. They'll take it gzipped or crushed. They'll tell you what languages you have set up on your machine. But you'll see we also still have the URL and the get method sort of showing us what's going on. The response objects also aren't terribly different. So the one other thing I'd like to cover then in this sub-lesson or this part is HTTP response codes. You'll see we've used already the 200 code, and we've also used the 503 code. These are some of the more common response codes that we'll use throughout our web applications and our sort of JSON servers and everything. 200 is the sort of good code. The 300 series means something is moved. The 400 series means that something that the user has, the client has asked for or sent to us is bad and we don't like it. And then the 500 series usually is that something has gone wrong on the server. So for example, on a 401, it means you're asking for something that you don't have permissions to view. 403, it means the server is not responding to the request. It's not the same as 401. You might just be asking for something you just absolutely will never have permission for. Whereas with 401, it'll let you try again if you try to authenticate yourself. 404, I'm sure you've all seen the sort of not found. And then we'll use the 500 and the 503 as well. The 500 is like something completely catastrophic has happened, it's just not working properly at all. The 503 could just be a temporary, like the server is slightly overloaded and you might want to try back in a little while and see what happens. But these are the sort of core HTTP response codes that we'll be working with, and if you're not super familiar with them yet, it's worth taking some time to do that.